You're still watching Today with myself and Fundo Mabalani. Now, the fight for better service delivery continues. The SACP and Khayelitsha community held a picket against the appalling state of the sewage system in the Cape Town township. For more on this, we're joined by the SACP's Monde Nqulwana. Mr. Nqulwana, thank you very much for your time. We understand that you have raised concern around what you call the appalling state of sewage system in all townships in Cape Town. It most certainly isn't a new problem, we know this, but paint a picture of its extent.
Thank you very much. As the SACP in the Brand Banding district, we have been calling for proper services, particularly on the issue of water and sanitation. For a very long time, when you get into Khayelitsha, Nqulwana, Philippi, Kraaifontein, you get into a state of collapsed infrastructure. Some roads in Khayelitsha, in the Nqulwana, Strand, working class townships have been neglected by motorists on the basis that the sewer has eroded the infrastructure. And looking at the situation, we have no other option but to conclude that this is political, on the basis that sewer overflow is only found in working class townships, being Khayelitsha and other areas. A typical example is that in Khayelitsha there is a sewer pump station along Baron Powell Road, which is an area where all the pipes are ending. Now, when you look at the issue of sewer overflow from Delft, Mfuleni, Khayelitsha, you'll find that everywhere you go, in any street you get into, there's feces along. But when you get into areas adjacent to those communities, which are serviced by the same sewer treatment plant, being Blackheath, East River, and other areas, you get the situation very much better than these areas, because you can't find an overflowing drain on the road where people can't even move. It's worse in the informal settlement across the city of Cape Town. We have experienced a lot of diseases that are contributing to the health of kids, because normally it's them that get exposed to these sewer waters that are spilling over. You get into Kraaifontein, where you have two communities in one. On the other side is Bukombos, Kraaifontein. When you get into the other side of the railway line next to N1, you won't find any sewer blockages. That's the typical examples of the situation where in these areas were found. But on the other side, we are calling on communities to work with the city of Cape Town in making sure that no foreign objects are found in these pipes. But as well, the city of Cape Town has long neglected the issue of upgrading their sewer infrastructure across the townships. In Khayelitsha, for an example, there are two pump stations that are in the middle of Khayelitsha. All of those are not working. Now we expect that there will be no sewer spilling over, but we have two pump stations that are unable to pump the sewer into the treatment plant. So that itself, it's an indication that in the city of Cape Town, while across the country and the world, we are told of a clean, well-run city, people who live like ourselves in the city of Cape Town experience a different situation altogether, on the basis that services are skewed, services are substandard. As a result, we have been calling for the city on the 18th of June. We're at the Civic Center on the same matters. Now we are back in Khayelitsha with the new MMC for water and sanitation to say they must do something. As the SACP, were prepared and willing to work with them in terms of resolving some of these matters when they need community and
Monde, you say this matter is political. Perhaps let's speak or delve into the issues around politics and the incumbent now. We've got Gordon Hill-Lewis at the helm, and he's conceded that the rivers are dirty and has committed to resolve such issues. We actually covered him when he was on his drive, including, he's also touched on the issue, including adequate sewage system, which contribute to the pollution. Are you somewhat hopeful, Or you're just like many who say you shouldn't expect much because it's still the same political party? It's him within the DA, and there was a previous mayor from the Democratic Alliance even before.
Talk is cheaper than action on the ground. What the new mayor has said, we've heard it for over a decade. Since 2006, we've been listening to that. There's been a myth run by the same administration under the leadership of the DA that 65% of its budget goes to the poor. That itself was a pipe dream, because you won't find that in real terms. Now, the mayor can indicate whatever you want to indicate. Our belief is that it's a new bottle carrying the same wine that it has been carrying for a very long time. There's nothing is going to change unless they are physically on the ground. We're very much shocked to listen to Zaid Badruddin, the MMC, that there is a huge staff shortage. There are vacancies that are funded and not filled, and those vacancies are critical to deal with the swap problems. So if the mayor will come and tell us that he's the only one who's new, the DA has been in charge, these matters have been there. When they're talking about the river that are dirty, you will recall that for some time there's been a clean-up campaign that was run by the City of Cape Town Mayoral Committee. But that itself deals with rivers that are close to affluent areas, neglecting the poor and the working class communities, which congestion and conditions of squalor you will find. So there's a difference between what they say and what they do on the ground. When you get into town, you are told of wetlands. When you get into working class communities, you are told these are not wetlands, these are water ponds. So that itself presents a two-city within the city. And the other part of the city, unfortunately, is the majority where the working class and the poor reside. So there is no political will, and there is a total neglect of infrastructure that is around the working class township across the city. That is an experience exposed not only because we just came from elections. We have been calling for this, and during elections, we have seen physically some of these areas that there is a difference between Kraaifontein and other Kraaifontein, only because there's a different class that resides in the other side of Kraaifontein. You get into Nqulwana, you'll find the same thing. In Nqulwana, you'll find hostels that were built by companies that exploited our forefathers and fathers to profit and live Cape Town. Sewer, it's a daily live for them, because every time there is a swap blockage, it spills until the doorstep of those communities. We are calling not only the city, but as well the private sector that has exploited our people in making profits to enter into the space and upgrade those hostels for a living condition of those people.
You know, Monde, just in closing, I like when you touch on the issue around foreign objects in the pumps in several communities, because we did a story on this. We were quite shocked to discover what was found in some of those pumps. Have you been educating communities around this?
It's part of what we have called upon the MECO member responsible for water and sanitation, that as the SACP, we are not an SACP of ourselves. We're an SACP for the communities that we are leading. A working class organization. We've been at the forefront in making sure that, one, when people are disposing these objects, they must have places to dispose them. Again, that will expose an issue of where do we dispose these objects and so on. As the SACP, we are rooted in communities. We've been educating our people not to vandalize infrastructure that we have. We know that for a very long time, when we inquire on the issue of blockages, the city will go back to archives and bring you foreign objects that they have established or found in the last 3 years. That we have found babies, we have found pit bulls, we have found tires, we have found clothing in those. That itself does not hold water. We want the city, and part of our demand as the SACP is that the city in the water and sanitation department must immediately develop a community-driven strategy in relation to an awareness to our people. As the SACP were available to provide access to them in speaking to people and making sure that the people are in charge of what is best for them.
All right. Monde, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I like that ending where you're saying you are available as the SACP to at least provide some sort of a solution by being that bridge between the community and the city. No, thank you very much. Hopefully there will be a solution to that sewage system issue that has been there for very, very long. That is Monde Nqulwana from the SACP in Cape Town.